we have Megan Hadley and Zach Gill from the University of Minnesota. Megan is a graduate student and a nationally board certified health and wellness coach who focuses on learning, who focuses her learning on cultural-based approaches to healing, health, equity, and nature-based therapy. Zach Gill is an undergraduate academic advisor and part-time student in the Earl E. Bakken Center for Spirituality and Healing. His focus is on helping college students find alternative ways to deal with stress and the pressure of academics. Welcome, Megan and Zach.
Thank you. I think I'm going to start sharing my screen as long as that's an option for me. And then can everyone see that so far? Okay, cool. Thanks for the introduction. Yeah, my name is Zach, and together with Megan, we've been doing some directed studies or directed research under the mentorship of Dr. Jean Larson, who she may be in and out today, but asked us to fill in for today since something came up. So we're going to run through kind of like a quick grounding in on kind of what the U of M, the University of Minnesota, offers, and also kind of the past, present, and future for what nature-based therapeutics will look like at the U of M. So, like I said, we've been working with and under kind of the mentorship of Dr. Larson, who is actually the manager of nature-based therapeutic services at the University of Minnesota Landscape Arboretum, and is an assistant professor and I think the faculty lead for nature-based therapeutic studies at the Earl E. Bakken Center for Spirituality and Healing. Here are some examples of some of the most recent and coming nature-based therapy grad courses. So we have an Intro to Therapeutic Horticulture course. There's a Therapeutic Landscapes course, Nature Heals as well, an Introduction to Nature-based Therapeutics, a Horse's Teacher, Equine-Assisted Activities course, and Animals in Healthcare course that's offered as well. So here at the U of M, we really are looking at nature-based therapeutics as kind of like a large feedback circle where the academics in the Earl E. Bakken Center is really informing practice and research at the Arboretum and on campus. And then from there, data gathering is, again, informing future course offerings and an academic study in the Bakken Center. So really, we're looking to see really like a positive feedback circle where we're continuing to learn, practice, and relearn. So some examples we're going to run through today that the U of M has offered and is planning to offer is the 30 by 30 Nature Heals initiative, and then the Green Health Initiative, which has been ongoing for the past year. And then most recently that an offering that me and Megan have worked on is the Be Well Nature Walks photo contest, which has just wrapped up this past week. And then we're going to look to the future a little bit and see what maybe is coming next or what our next goals are for nature-based therapeutics at the University of Minnesota. Okay, yeah.
Thanks, Zach. Yeah, so I'm going to talk a little bit about this initiative in the past. And actually, Dr. Larson reminded me that nature-based therapeutics at the U of M started in, oh, you can keep sharing, Zach.
Sorry, I think I get bumped out somehow.
No problem. Started in 1992, so not to date myself, but yeah, I was a little kiddo at that time. And so it's amazing to now be a part of the university and so honored to be presenting on behalf of our mentor, Dr. Jeannie Larson today. So in 2015, they launched this 30 by 30 Nature Heals. So it's the idea that for 30 minutes a day for 30 days in a row in the month of October 2015, to invite all kinds of people at the U of M to participate in this program. And it actually has lived on beyond this 2015 timeline. I participated in my own Nature 30 by 30 for one of my classes in the health coaching program a couple of years ago. So, you know, the website still has all the resources up and things like that. So it's been a living, breathing opportunity. And time in nature was defined as going outside and taking time to notice and connect with non-human life. So this is really a broad definition here. Next slide, please, Zach. And the purpose was really to call attention to the accessible and equitable forms of self-care and stress management that are found in nature. And really this access, which we've heard a lot of people talk about today, access plus engagement is really the main focus or way that people engage with nature. So that's why this was part of the purpose. And the second reason was to improve quality of campus and community mental health. And the third, to generate critical discussion around nature as a public health intervention. And next slide. So the instructions are quite simple, right? You first have to opt into the project so you can get the daily reminders and things like that and generate a goal for the 30 days. This can be something really simple, but there are so many ways that people were able to participate in the program, whether this was physically in person at the quote unquote base camp, which is at the Weissman Art Center, which faces the Mississippi River on the east bank, as well as the webpage, which I mentioned, the Facebook page, and then an interactive sculpture project on the St. Paul campus. So as you maybe saw on the first slide, the University of Minnesota has several campuses throughout the state, but the Twin Cities campus has 3 main banks. So the west bank and east bank of the Mississippi River in Minneapolis, and then the St. Paul campus, as well as an app was another mechanism that people could engage. And next slide, please. So this is just an example of the schedule at the base camp at the Weissman. So you'll see there was something going on every day, whether that's someone individually that they coordinated with has a passion area like yoga. It looks like we had our health coaching faculty, Karen Lawson, come and join. Pause is the pet away worry and stress animal therapy intervention, which started as a nature-based therapy intervention. And then Boynton Health, which is our student clinic on campus, kind of took that and ran with it. And we also have a bee squad, which they're a university-based bee program that kind of monitors a lot of the beehives throughout. So on and off campus, they monitor like hundreds of these hives to make sure, even like hives in people's attics and stuff, to take care of the bees. So this was really cool. I'm sad that I missed out on it because I was not there at the time, but that's just a good example of the different things that can be offered at various times. And next slide. And then we have some pictures from the base camp at the Weissman. So this one is actually facing out towards the light rail station, right by our Kaufman Union, which is the kind of student union main spot on campus. So there's some chalk drawings and people coming to do different activities. So I'm guessing this is someone from the Raptor Center. So we have a Raptor Center on the St. Paul campus. So that's a snake, if you can see in the right picture. And next photo. Yep, and some more demonstrations here. In the bottom right is a local theater company, Heart of the Beast, and their kind of puppetry work that they've done in the community. So engaging outside partners as well. And next slide. And here's an example of the 30th day web page prompt. So not only are you kind of given just a web page prompt as well as an activity suggestion, but also there's usually a technology piece that you can check out, an app or a website, as well as a link for a video to watch. So many different ways to engage and learn in the 30 by 30 program. Next slide. And this is just a placeholder for the Facebook, the moon phases on the logo. And then this is the interactive sculpture on the St. Paul campus, which was mentioned previously. Again, sad I did not get to see this, but it looks really cool. It looks like they had a warmer October than we're having right now. We also have 6 inches of snow on the ground. So, and this is the base of the app as well. And I'll hand it back to Zach.
Thanks, Megan. Yes, that kind of brings us through what has happened in the past and bringing us to the present now, which is the Green Health Initiative, which really is an effort by multiple departments to bring nature-based therapeutic services um, into the realm of public health and just on campus more, um, getting more campus engagement, providing more education, both passive and active education on campus, and getting just the word out that these services exist for everyone associated with the U of M and on campus. Okay. So like I said, there's really the push here now is to get more campus engagement, both undergraduate, graduate, professional students, and the multiple and many colleges and departments on campus, both to learn via passive education, so just more presence on campus in general, but also more like direct educational opportunities where people can choose to engage. And again, we're the way we're trying to get all of this out is just more messaging, more time on the airways, really. So one of the ways that this has been happening is through the mental health pop-up display in the U of M campus libraries. There's 3 campus libraries, again, one on each of the kind of banks. So there's the East Bank on the east side of the Mississippi River, the West Bank on the west side of the Mississippi, and then the St. Paul campus, which is just a short bus ride away. So this was a push to get these nature scenery within the library system where students are in normal times spending a lot of their time studying inside. So here's some examples of some of the scenery available in one of the library study or lounge areas. You can tell it takes up a large space in the room, which hopefully is simulating some sort of presence within nature. Here's another one, engaging or connecting students with a little bit of the Minnesota winter, whether they want to or not. And again, here, I think this is the East Bank Wilson Library. A nice photo, looks like almost the Boundary Waters, or at least northern Minnesota. Again, maybe some more of the passive education or passive engagement is there were some free posters distributed both at Boynton Health Services, the main student healthcare location, and then again, the Twin Cities, the 3 libraries that we have too. So here's some examples. Just giving really digestible tidbits of information about, what nature-based therapy can provide to you. So improving mood. And again, this is a lot more beautiful looking fall than what our fall is trending to this week. This is what our fall looks like right now. But nature is nature, and I think the fresh air and time spent outside is obviously going to benefit no matter what it looks like. So again, they include a small tidbit of information there, like reducing overall stress levels, which I think students are usually interested in, reducing their stress level. And again, also like indicating that being outside is a free and effective way to take care of your mental and physical health, especially when considering places like Boynton, or the mental health services in Boynton here on campus are looking 3 to 4 weeks out usually for a first initial appointment, which for many students, that is definitely not quick enough to start at least dealing with symptoms of stress and mental health issues. So here are just some more examples again. Okay, another example of campus engagement, or a few more, and one that was really cool and I also missed out on, is the story mapping with, I can't remember, I think Paul was he's a professor in the Department of Geography, but he led as a part of one of the courses through the Center for Spirituality and Healing, he led a really like an exercise in connecting people and making a community of people that are interested in the trees on campus. So this group met at least a few times to both share stories, share the trees that are meaningful to them on campus, and create a resource for students to tap into to see where these trees are located, to almost have you know, an interactive map where they can go find these trees, read the stories that people have shared about these trees on campus, and obviously get outside and enjoy accessing our beautiful campus. So that was a great, you know, the story mapping, and the it's I think the title of it was like, "What's with these trees?" But it was a really great way for people to just make community and get outside. And that kind of brings us to the nature photo contest, which me and Megan helped facilitate this fall, which was a initiative that the Health Sciences Education Center and their initiative Be Well reached out to ask us to help with. But what the premise, I guess, of the nature photo contest was really, again, trying to build community for the students that are both on campus and off, because of how unique this fall is. There's a lot of students that are off campus, but as we know, students really like to communicate and engage through social media. So our photo contest was based on the Instagram app, and we created this contest to encourage students to get outside, take photos of their favorite places to take a walk on campus, or where they are at home now, and then share those. We asked for 5 photos of their nature walk, and we asked them to share that in an Instagram post, and then give some description of what the walk is like, you know, their favorite place to rest along the hike or the walk, and then hopefully, and then use the hashtag NatureWalksUMN, so that they started to create a bit of a thread, or a bit of a you know, hashtag that then they can then communicate and see other people who are engaging in this photo contest. They can see who else is doing it, and perhaps reach out and just see where other cool places are on campus and across the state and country. So that was new for both me and Megan. Neither of us had run a photo contest or really any sort of social media campaign. So that was some extra learning for sure. But it was really cool, and we did get some folks participating, which was the goal. So that was really fun, and that kind of brings us to today, really. Oh, sorry, this is Paul Moss's "What's Up with These Trees." This is the story mapping. And this is one of the workshops that he led. And again, they came up with an online resource that is really pretty cool to explore, especially if you've been on campus or know a little bit about campus, to go and try and find these trees, and have this online site where you can read other people's stories about, you know, whether they've studied there or had a, you know, unusual event happen there. It's a really cool resource. And sorry, here's our Nature Walks photo contest page, where this is the newsletter that was sent out just to health science students, and some of the instructions too for this photo contest on Instagram. Okay, I can't remember if I was going to hand it off here to you, Megan.
Yeah,
okay.
Sounds good. We're near the end, so we're happy to just keep chatting together. But really, this brings us to a future vision. You know, Zach and I started this research project in the spring of this year. So we did a lit review in the spring and the summer. You know, we were dealing with COVID and civil unrest in Minneapolis, and just trying to figure out what we want to do that builds community with people and reconnects them with nature in a positive way. And so then this fall, figuring out the photo contest has been really fun. I think we had, if you check it out on Instagram, it was like 11 unique users, but a total of like 92 photos between all of the posts. So it's really interesting start to this process. And when I was trying to list all of the various resources that we have and where nature-based therapy lives in Campus RX, it is like, I was searching Unsplash, which is a free stock photo site. If you don't know it, check it out, for like a docking station or a hub. And this photo came up, and it was so apropos because it reminded me of platform 9 3/4 from Harry Potter, right? It's like you need to have some kind of special pass or awareness for how to even access all of this, because there's no hub to say, here's where everything is related to nature walks or nature-based therapies or Nature Rx. And so that would be our suggestion as graduate students who've spent a lot of time now navigating the system and working through the bureaucratic process of doing a photo contest where you need photo releases and prizes and access to emails for all the health students, which doesn't exist. And, you know, all of these incredible opportunities kind of need to have a place where they can be easily accessible, because the Nature 30 by 30 exists. The Arboretum has so many classes happening. You know, they have forest bathing, they have nature photography, they have, they're open during COVID, and at first they opened just to cars, and they have this beautiful drive you can do. And now they're open for some of the walks as well. And then Be Well is the new program Zach mentioned. That's an initiative of the Health Sciences Education Center. So they have their own Instagram handle. And this Nature Walks thing could exist far beyond just the contest we did this fall. It could be a hashtag that lives on in perpetuity. And then Boynton Health, as we said, has, you know, the mental health resources, and they have students who have a stress-related newsletter. They have the Pet Away Worry and Stress animal therapy. Their animals have their own Twitter accounts. You know, it's just like there's so much happening. How do you even put it all together? And of course, the Center for Spirituality and Healing, where both Zach and I are students, has a public-facing website called Taking Charge of Your Health and Well-Being, where they mention the dimensions of health and well-being, and that includes environment. So there's a whole section of environment where people can go and look up resources based on that. They can create a goal based on environment. And then, as I chatted earlier today after the breakout rooms, the COVID-19 resources that the center has been making are meant to be campus and community-wide. So feel free to use any of those resources as you find them, like the Student Wellbeing Guide. And then truly, I'm also seeing an opportunity for nature-based and nature-related classes across schools and departments. We aren't necessarily coordinating super well to be like, actually this design class where you make a chair from whatever you have in your environment, and people are at home, so all they have is like broken furniture and like wood from outside. You know, that's a really interesting way. I love that sod couch idea from Cornell. That's incredible. As well as just the infusion of resources, time, and energy spent to well-being at this time during COVID and civil unrest. You know, we could be coordinating much better about all of this together during this time. And as we mentioned, the libraries kind of doing their pop-up images. And Mapping Prejudice is a really interesting resource, kind of hearkening back to what Dr. Jennifer Roberts was discussing, mapping the built environments to see how prejudice and systemic racism is literally written into the code for how our neighborhoods were built, and where people were allowed to live and where people were allowed and not allowed to buy houses and things like that. That's a living and breathing, working research document project. I'm getting some questions in the chat, so I will address those. I just want to kind of keep running through these resources because they're so vast. The Minneapolis tree story mapping, as we had discussed. There's a West Bank garden, which is all run by a student group. And there's a new East Bank garden that's going to be co-created with students in the Health Sciences Education Center. So they get to have a part in creating it and say what they want. So I was really inspired by, you know, the folks at UC Davis who are working in collaboration with the researchers to say, what kind of garden do you want? And so I hope something very similar comes out of that project. And even our PTS, our Parking and Transportation Services, has a pamphlet about how to walk safely on campus. So like, you know, how do we gather all of these things in one place? And then there's also the St. Paul campus trees, which is an ArcGIS story mapping situation as well, where you can look at all of the different species of trees that we have just on the St. Paul campus. And our U of M Rec Center, which is our gym, which has also an outdoors rental, which is really popular. Of course, living in Minnesota with 4 full seasons and 10,000 lakes, there's a lot of stuff to do. but it requires equipment, and they have accessible equipment rentals there. And then, of course, there's the U of M well-being program. So this is for faculty and staff who have their insurance through the University of Minnesota. We pay for a well-being program to be administered as a part of that. So if people opt in to participate, their premiums are lower. And of course, as we know, their health and well-being and sense of community is greater. This was being serviced by Red Brick, which was a Minneapolis health coaching company, and now has been bought by the International Virgin Pulse company. So we're learning all these new things about Virgin Pulse and what they can offer us, but there's still a U of M based coordinator who runs the farmers market in the summer. So we didn't have a farmers market this year, but there's just so many different ways that we could be pulling all of these resources together. And so while it looks like the platform 9 3/4, Zach, if you want to switch to the next slide, my hope is that we put these together in a way that is more based on the pattern of nature, right? And isn't based on the pattern of a built environment. So whether that be a constellation or a galaxy of things put together, this is just an inspirational photo that I found. Hopefully the future collaboration between departments and across colleges at the university will be able to pull things together in a way that everybody could utilize them.